Hello and welcome along to Edie's Susty Talk, our series of video interviews with sustainability leaders designed to keep us all feeling connected through lockdown, lockdown 2, lockdown 3, working remotely and furlough in general and beyond. And I'm absolutely delighted to have John Petre, who is Weetabix's supply chain and technical director, on the line with me today. How are you, John?
I'm good, thank you, Sarah. How are you?
Yes, not too bad. And I'm sorry in advance if anyone can hear. One of my neighbours is having either a tree chopped down or a fence sanded. So I'm good apart from that, which is giving me a little bit of a headache. But what are you going to do? It's the joys of working remotely, isn't it? I presume you're working remotely yourself, John.
Yeah, I am. But luckily, no trees being cut down at the moment.
Fantastic. And am I right in saying this is your first interview with us here at Edie?
Yeah, that's right. It is.
Fantastic. So for my benefit and for the benefit of people listening, could you tell us a little bit about your career and about your role? Because there's not the word sustainability in it, but I understand that you have a lot to do with the way that the company approaches environmental and social and other issues as well.
Sure, that's right. Yeah, so I'm John Petre. I'm supply chain and technical director at Weetabix. I joined Weetabix 3 years ago, and in my role, I'm responsible for safety, quality, innovation, and our supply chain. In addition to that, I also chair the Weetabix Food Company Sustainability Steering Group, which gets me involved in the other aspects of sustainability. At university, I did chemical engineering, and I started out in food manufacturing. And then through my career, which has mostly been in the food industry, I've worked for a wide variety of companies in the UK, Europe and the US. And I've had a couple of roles outside of food, one for Dulux Paints, one working with the UK's biggest supplier of trade kitchens. And while Weetabix is clearly my favourite job, when I was R&D director for a chocolate company, eating chocolate every day and travelling in and out of New York, where our head office was probably a close second.
That does sound like the dream job, to be honest. And you mentioned there a sustainability steering committee, was it?
Yeah, sure.
So could you tell us a little bit more about, so who else is on that and where does that sit?
Yeah, absolutely. So at the Weetabix Food Company, our purpose is to help people live better lives through better breakfasts. And that's been at the heart of our business since it was founded in 1932, and it's core to our sustainability strategy. The way we organise sustainability, so we have a sustainability steering group that I mentioned. It's made up of people from all across the business, all different functions, that really reflects how sustainability needs to be a part of everything we do, which is why it's not in my job title and not my responsibility alone. That group meets monthly and we go through our targets, our key initiatives, the progress we're making. We also look at best practice, what other companies are doing, what we can learn from others. An important part of what we do actually is also the communications plan. So how do we talk to our employees about the initiatives and the progress we're making? Because they're incredibly interested in that. And the 4 pillars we focus on are sustainable ingredients, low impact packaging, efficient operations, and health and well-being. And what we found is it takes everybody working together to make a real difference on those things. So as much as our sustainability approach is a corporate endeavour, it's also something that's supported to the very top of the business, but it's delivered by the way everybody does their jobs every day and is involved with it. And I think that's been crucial to our success. And I think it's become increasingly evident to me just how interested and invested our employees are in the sustainability of our business. There's a real sense of commitment and excitement to all of the actions we're taking to move things forward.
Great. I just like to ask that because there's a lot of companies that talk about this embedded idea of sustainability and engagement, and it always pops up. And you said that the committee and the group meet monthly and that there's top-down support as well as bottom-up support. So does that then feed back to the exec team? I believe that you have a place on that team as well.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm on the Weetabix exec team. So as part of our routine, we have updates from the sustainability steering group probably 4 times a year on progress on the targets we're setting. So yeah, a lot of interest. And then obviously as we publish our annual sustainability reports, that also generates quite a bit of interest inside and outside the business on the progress we're making.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. And I obviously had a little look through the report ahead of the call just to get a better idea of the pillars that you've mentioned already. And something that really stood out for me was about sustainable ingredient sourcing. And I thought it would be a good touch point, especially considering that you are leading on the supply chain. And what I found really interesting was how the company is taking like a local approach to sourcing, and that is a standing thing rather than a new thing to reduce food miles. But do you think that this is something that more businesses might be looking at? We heard a lot about this in all of the early stages of COVID-19.
I mean, sustainable ingredient sourcing is a really important part of our strategy, and I think I proudly say it's been part of the DNA of our business, really. Sourcing locally has a few key benefits for us. So it not only keeps the food miles low, and it supports our efforts to keep our carbon footprint down, but it also paves the way to have a great relationship with our suppliers. And, you know, we want to make great quality Weetabix. What better way to do that than have a really strong connection with the people who grow our most important ingredient? And we've been able to maintain those excellent relationships through our growers group that we set up about 10 years ago now. And the key element of that is the wheat protocol, which is a set of environmental and quality standards that covers everything from nitrogen usage to hedgerow stewardship that all of our growers sign up to following. And that growers group consists of more than 200 farmers who produce about 75,000 tonnes of wheat a year for us. Local sourcing also has benefits to us in terms of stability to geopolitical events. So we found that through Brexit and the pandemic, our supply chain has been able to respond really well. Thinking about consumers, I think is also of great interest to consumers. So we did some polling over the summer last year and found that about a third of people have become more supportive of local sourcing since the lockdown started. So almost half of them wanted to see big brands source their ingredients locally, and more than 80% of them said they were more likely to support brands that used locally sourced ingredients. And it's not just about us. We know British farmers are also facing an uncertain future, in particular with changes in subsidies. So we want to equip them so they can thrive, however policies change in the future.
Well, some food for thought there, I'm sure, for a lot of people listening. Obviously, it's easy enough to source wheat and milk in the UK, but if you're, I don't know, a pineapple business, maybe you'd have to think about something else. And one of the other pillars I wanted to come on to was about sustainable packaging, just because this is having such a moment, and it's our Circular Economy Week campaign soon. And this is something we always talk about with food businesses, really, because am I right in assuming that the packaging portfolio, it's not just the cereal box and the insert, that you have lots of other packaging formats as well?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Great. So I'd love to hear more about how you're approaching sort of the pressure to use less plastic and more sustainable materials without compromising on food grade standards or producing more food waste or any of these other challenges that food brands often raise.
You know, quality is a key focus for us. And packaging plays a really important role in that, exactly as you say. But we're also committed to the WRAP commitment of 100% recyclable, reusable or compostable by 2025. And actually, by the end of this year, well over 90% of our packaging will be recyclable. Ultimately, when we look at our decisions on making our packaging more sustainable, we look to see that every change we make will reduce the carbon footprint of the packaging. But because food waste is a big contributor to carbon emissions and environmental damage, our concern is always to balance the packaging innovation against the risk of food waste. A good example of what we've been doing is with our on the go drinks bottle. So we launched a fully recyclable bottle last year, and to do that we had to do a lot of research and testing. Because it's a milk-based drink, the bottle needs to be opaque to keep the light out. And it took us over 18 months to develop that bottle, but we were determined to get it right and launch a bottle that was easier for our consumers to recycle. And all of the changes we're making will reduce our packaging carbon footprint by 20% over the next 12 months. And I guess at the same time as that, we're looking to a world beyond plastic. So, you know, we're always trialing and considering new materials such as plastic-free coatings for our Alpen bar wrappers, but they'll also keep the bars fresh inside them.
Mm-hmm. And you mentioned there that this is part of like the wrap commitment. So are you going for 100% recyclability, or is there going to be some reusables or some compostables in there too, do you think?
Yeah, principally we're looking at recyclability as our main focus.
Great. I just wanted to clarify because so many businesses are approaching the wrap commitments ever so slightly differently, aren't they?
Yeah. And some of that's about technology, right? So if new things become available, we'll absolutely consider those as well.
Great. And I wanted to come on to something else that I got in my inbox about Weetabix and plastic recently. So I got a press release about a campaign that sort of surprised me a little bit, and it said Weetabix is working with Depop to promote things like recycled textiles, slow fashion, and, as you say, recycling plastics. And yeah, this didn't strike me as a particularly obvious connection for a campaign. So I wanted to hear a little bit more about the thought process behind running that initiative.
Yeah, so last year it was a big change for us to make our bottles 100% recyclable for the on-the-go drinks, and we're really keen to encourage consumers to keep plastic on the go by recycling it and giving it another life. For us, getting more recycled plastic available is really important. So we're at 30% recycled at the moment. We want to move that to 50% recycled plastic in the bottle by the end of the year, but there are currently shortages of food grade recycled plastic available.
Mm-hmm.
So we want to play our part encouraging consumers to recycle. So partnering with Dougie Pointer was about raising awareness of simple things our consumers could do to start each day better, which is our mission for on-the-go drinks, and hopefully would enable us to have access to more recyclable or recycled plastic to use in the bottles as well. So obviously our main focus is about making strides for our own business, but ultimately in examples like this, all aspects of sustainability are interconnected, and we want to use our platforms to help consumers understand how they can make choices, sustainable choices, just a little bit more easily.
Because some of the tips there just aren't going to do anything for that recycled plastic targets, like encouraging people to mend their clothes or buy clothes more consciously. So I wanted to get your thought on whether you think this is the way that sustainability comms is going this year. So do you think more brands are going to get vocal about issues that maybe they touch on but aren't, super relevant to their business all the time?
Yeah, I think having people have sustainability and recycling at front of mind is beneficial to all of us. So I think we will try and focus on things that we can influence and will help our business. But if we can play a wider role in supporting sustainability at the same time, we'll absolutely want to do that.
Great. Well, a super positive note to end on today, John. And that's all the time we have for today's call. But please don't forget that Susty Talk is an ongoing series and that there are loads of episodes out already. We've been publishing them at least once a week for about a year now, I think. And you can find all of our past episodes on our YouTube channel or on the Susty Talk tag on edie.net. And there will be more episodes in the coming weeks. But for now, it's a goodbye from myself and a goodbye